financing is not as simple as just adding an option in there. You're also going to make friends and enemies through doing it if not done properly.
It's kind of like if you've seen the Terminator where he says, I'll be back, and then he never goes back to the coffee shop. Once that patient gets declined, you will never see them again. Never. So you got to treat them like gold. And one of the things we do is, super high approval rate, which gets most people that walk in that office door, they get the financing they need.
We're looking at the information a little bit differently that allows us to say yes more often. And I assume you're getting your money back, right? Most people are paying you back. So what are the key things that you're looking at that other people are missing?
Congratulations, Garrett. You've just been approved for $6,100.
Welcome to another episode of Dental Marketing Theory. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I am the managing partner and founder of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours get more new patients so you can grow the way that you want. And today, I get the opportunity to interview Jay, who is the Vice President of Dental at Sunbit. And they have a financial option for your patients that you are going to want to see. He literally gets somebody approved in under 30 seconds. And I think you said 90% of people, or 80 to 90% of people are going to be approved. I don't want to say the wrong thing there and get people in trouble, but that's insane. And you're going to want to see this. You're going to want to see him break this down. He also has a prop from the 1960s that's going to make you laugh and really reconsider how you approach your financing at your dental office. This is not an episode that you're going to want to miss. Stay tuned. All right. So, Jay, why don't you tell me how you got into the dental industry?
Very interesting question. So, like many people, my experience with the dental industry was really going to the dentist twice a year, pretty religiously. About 4 years ago, 2 years into 2.5 years of working at the Sunbit, we wanted to find some additional vertical markets to enter into. We had already been in auto, pretty successful. And so I spent a good month or so looking at different verticals. And I just thought maybe dental could be something interesting. And so I went and I visited about 100 offices in a 30-day period, talking with dentists, talking with hygienists, talking with treatment coordinators, trying to understand if they were happy with the current solution, patient financing solution they were offering.
What could I ask you what drew you to the dental? So you're already in auto,
sure.
and so you're already working for Sunbit, and you're like, hey, let's see if there's other verticals to get into. What made you identify dental and go, that might be an opportunity there?
Well, it's interesting because I took a lot of surveys and did a lot of research kind of in the first couple of years of being at Sunbit, and a few people told me, hey, you may want to look into dental because there really hasn't been any innovation in the past 30 years there. I said, okay, so, you jot it down on your notes, like when you go to bed at night, and then you kind of wait for it to become relevant. And so that was really the first vertical I looked at kind of a couple years in.
What were some of the other verticals you were considering that you ended up choosing dental over?
I mean, we looked at a few. I mean, there's a lot like in the, the furniture space and household goods. We like verticals typically that are non-discretionary and we see repeat amount of purchases. So like you're not going to see us kind of in the powerboat industry. That's just not something that's interesting for us. And it's also, it's a very discretionary sort of item. So we want to focus on needs and not wants. That's kind of been the hallmark since the beginning. So we do eyewear, then, auto, and, in the last 4 years, dental.
Hey, I got a secret for you. Dental marketing agencies are dead. You got that right. Dental marketing agencies aren't performing the way that they used to because there's so much more complications to growing a dental office than just getting a marketing company. At SMC, we are passionate about being a growth partner and helping your practices grow the way that you want. And we have a free newsletter that goes out every single month at dentalmarketingdigest.com. If you sign up, it's free. And there's over 1,000 practices that are already getting these free tips. You don't want to miss out. Sign up now. Links below. Got it. And then so you say, okay, we're going to go down this road. We take the surveys. You see there's an opportunity. Where did you see the biggest opportunity inside of dental from a finance standpoint?
So what was interesting is that I kept on meeting different folks. And what did I do is I just showed them the demo. And they're like, this is interesting. Please talk to our CFO. So there was a group based in San Bernardino, California. We're based out in Los Angeles. And I visited like all 12 of their offices. And they quite frankly were getting tired of me. So they said, stop visiting, go visit the CFO. I said, okay, fine. And clearly they had very low approval rates, very, very difficult process, very difficult, 30% approval. And the front office staff was very frustrated offering it. One, because it's embarrassing, right? When you offer something and 7 out of 10 get declined, right? It's
yeah.
fun.
So it's like, it's
People
almost
think
like if I invite you over to dinner, right, Jay? And I say, hey, Jay, you want to come over to dinner? And then you come over
yeah,
and then I'm like, oh, my kids already ate all the food. Sorry, Jay.
yeah,
I'm going to be a little
sorry.
bit trigger shy on the next time I'm inviting someone over if that happens to me, right?
You're totally correct, because it damages the current interaction with your patient, which, by the way, you may know that patient for the last 10 years, right? Sorry,
Mm,
you're a good person, but not going to get approved. And then the patient gets angry, generally never come back. They'll never come back again. But the treatment coordinator or the office manager that offers it to them, they will just eventually stop offering it because they don't want to embarrass people. It's embarrassing also for them as well, because at the end of the day, they want to help patients, not hurt them.
yeah, that's such a good point.
So,
I've never
so
actually thought about that side before, that financing is not as simple as just adding an option in there. You're also going to make friends and enemies through doing it if not done properly.
100%. And it's kind of like if you've seen the Terminator, where he says, I'll be back, and then he never goes back to the coffee shop. Once that patient gets declined, you will never see them again. Never. So you got to treat them like gold. And one of the things we do is, super high approval rate, which gets most people that walk in that office door, they get the financing they need.
So so this is the part that's always confused me. So I know a lot of the traditional,
Sure.
like people who've been in dental for a long time from a financing standpoint, they're basically like A plus paper, right? Like you're going to get the loan as if you don't need it basically. And so that means there's a large percentage of people that are going to be rejected. How did you guys move in and flip that on the side? So before, if it was 3 out of 10 get approved, now you guys are getting 7 or 8 out of 10 approved. How'd you flip that model? Like, how does that work that you're able to do it and others can't?
So I think it comes down to solving a very, very complex math problem at the core. So historically, all the credit card companies and medical credit card patient financing companies, all they've done is they said, okay, let's see your FICO, right? FICO is a measure of your ability to repay. If it's
Yep.
this score or higher, you get approved. If it's this score or lower, you get declined. But there's so many different nuances to
Yeah.
that FICO is a terrible indicator for kind of, it's great for a car loan, 5-year car loan. It's great for a mortgage in terms of predictability. It's absolutely terrible for short-term loans. And that's what we are. We do installment loans. So what we've done is we use various AI and machine learning, and we're getting the same data as anybody else. The data is no different. The difference is we take that data and run it against our model, which looks at 3,000 to 4,000 different data points. And we essentially build a unique picture for that individual. And due to that, we come up with an answer. Are we going to approve them? Yes. If yes, what is the approval amount going to be? What is the APR going to be? Et cetera. So it's a very, very flexible model that's really on a one-to-one basis versus saying, okay, you're approved. Here's your approval amount. You're declined. Ours it's a much different, newer sort of fintech model, whereas the other guys are doing the same model that they've done for 30 years, essentially. So
So
I brought a prop with me, Gary, and this is something that's interesting. That
okay.
this is if you're someone from the East Coast, they know a store called Gimbel's. This is a store that went out of business in 1978, but it was in business from like 1870. And here is a pristine store application credit card. Okay, it's right here. I bought it off eBay. It's amazing. Okay. What's the interesting thing? Again, 1967, Gary, probably older than you, definitely older than me, right?
That's older than me,
Over
yeah.
50 years. What's the interesting thing on this? They're asking the same exact questions that credit card companies ask today. How much money do you make? Married versus single? Do you rent versus own? Same thing. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is that this is essentially digitized today. So you're filling it out online, but it's the exact same questions. So nothing has changed in the credit card industry. Nothing has changed really in the patient financing industry. And that's where we come in as innovators to really kind of turn the process upside down.
So, okay, so I'm going to ask you some from my perspective, they're hard questions, but maybe from your guys'
Sure.
perspective, they're easy. But so when I would assume the reason that other people reject so many people from getting finance is because I want to make sure they get their money back, right? So they're saying, hey, these people aren't going to pay us back. So what I hear you saying is we're looking at the information a little bit differently that allows us to say yes more often. And I assume you're getting your money back, right? Most people are paying you back. So what are the key things that you're looking at that other people are missing in and I know part of it's machine learning and looking at a bunch of data, but is there key things that you're looking at going? Because I think of it this way. If someone goes and gets a loan for furniture and then they get sick and they can't work, probably not going to pay your furniture loan, right? Like it's not a big deal in the big scheme of things, right? But where maybe medical stuff that I'm going back at and I'm seeing them and it maybe has a higher chance of me paying that back. Maybe not at the rate that I'm supposed to, but I still prioritize that in a different way than I would in furniture. Is that kind of how you guys are going through and looking at this, or is there other key things that people are missing?
I think you've got a great sense of it. I think kind of at the surface level, I think it's great what you're saying. I think it makes sense. Here's what I would add. I'll add a couple of nuggets here. So FICO looks at your ability to pay. Okay. Credit card companies are looking at your ability to pay. What we're looking at is your willingness to pay. Okay. Very different. It takes the intent. In order to do that, I need more information than your FICO score. In fact, FICO score may not even tell me anything. So I need to look at, so our model looks at a lot of behavioral factors. Like I'll give you an example. Let's say you are a 700 FICO patient, right? And we see that you don't pay your T-Mobile cell phone bill of $50 a month on a timely basis. Well, and let's say we can kind of quantify that this person's kind of a high income person, okay? That's irrational behavior, right? If you are a 700 FICO, you're a prime patient, your salary is decent, there is no reason why you shouldn't be paying your bill on time. So we may dock you a few points there. Or here's another example. Let's say you and me, Gary, today are a 650 FICO. We're both 650 FICOs, okay? Other medical credit cards and other credit card companies would say, okay, Gary and Jay, you are the same, but we're not. What if last year at this time you were a 600, and what if I was a 700 last year? Who's the greater credit risk? I am, right? We're not the same. So you have to look at very, very nuanced detail, thousands and thousands of data points that help essentially build a unique picture for that individual. So everyone is going to be different. Everyone is going to get a unique offer. And it's kind of, I would say we look at kind of three things. One, we want to make the loan very attractive for the patient so they take it. Like it doesn't do you much good if there's an offer and they don't take it. Two, we want to minimize as much as we can the merchant fees. Three, we want to optimize our belief and our ability to get repaid. We want to do all three of those things at once. And basically you're talking about thousands and thousands of calculations that occur kind of instantaneously in order to give an offer like in less than a second once the information is submitted. So it's kind of high level math. That's essentially what it is. We're solving a math problem, which is very difficult to solve because right now it's okay. He is subprime, which means shame on him, right? Which is terrible. Shame on him, but we can't give him a loan because he's subprime. This is totally this is like old math from like 1970 that still goes on today. It's just not applicable to today.
So I love the way you broke that down. So willingness versus ability. So do they have the money to pay versus what's their willingness to pay? So are you looking at things like, hey, this person's already had medical bills in the past and they've already paid those off, and is that something that you're like factoring in, or is there other, like, what are the big, like, I want to understand, like, what are the big things? If I was a dental office and I have all of these patients coming in, what are these triggers that you're like, that person right there is going to be able to pay it off? Or is it too complicated to even look at that way?
It's too complicated. The technology enables approval of between 85 to 90%. So basically the default is they're going to get approved. Like, so the office, what we tell them is, you shouldn't kind of make judgment calls with folks, right? Just like
Yeah.
you go to Target, you're in line.
Yeah.
What does the cashier always ask you? Do you want the red card? Same sort
Yeah.
of thing. Every patient that walks in, hey, can I have your insurance verification? Oh, by the way, we have a financing plan. We have an installment plan. If I can just kind of get your driver's license, scan it, and then you know what you qualify for. And then you leave kind of the iPad to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we kind of position it.
Awesome. And I know you said that you could do it really quickly. You can get approved really quickly. Do you want to kind of give us an example of that? I would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. So again, it's not the medium isn't ideal, but basically, like,
So let's just
iPad.
pretend. So I'm the office manager, or I'm the treatment coordinator, and I'm talking to Jay here,
Sure.
and I want to get Jay approved. So you got $2,400 worth of dental that you need to get done, and do you want to finance it? So I'm going to hand you this tablet, and then what happens from there?
Okay. First of all, I'll give you the option. If you'd like, you can time this. Okay. And this is kind of in real time. I'm not slowing it down, speeding it up.
Let's do it.
So the office would select their name of the treatment coordinator. They would click scan card. We take my driver's license. We scan it just like this. Okay. Automatically, what happens is my home information comes up. Patient types in their phone number and email. They click continue. We ask the patient, hey, is this your updated info? It is. They would click agree and continue. And congratulations, Gary, you've just been approved for $6,100.
So that was 25 seconds. And
Correct.
maybe a little bit longer because you kind of had your info already ready to go. But so maybe a minute or two, or we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the application process is usually 30 seconds at the most. And then to complete the transaction, it's a couple of minutes. But I think a couple of things, obviously, I didn't go through it in detail in terms of the explanation, but, we're approving 85 to 87%. We never do a hard credit check. That's a key thing. So when you talk about office friction, right? Again, it's very behavioral what we're doing. You don't want, I'll say that you want the office to be very comfortable offering it. And the second they know there's a hard credit check, it's a no-no. They don't want to mess around with the credit of the patient. So to get approved, soft inquiry, so it has no impact on your credit. But here's the kicker, Gary. Even if they apply and get the loan, we never do a hard credit check. Very unique. No one does this. No one does this. Go ahead.
So this is wild to me because if it's this simple, right? So I'm just going to use simple math. If 90% of people are going to get approved, and I got all these people who aren't accepting treatment, a lot of it's for financial reasons. They're stretching out treatment care, and the gas prices are high and everything's high, right? So they don't want to fork out $2,500 right now, which I get. Like if your food cost is up by 50%, your power is up by 20%, gas is up 20%, everything's up, right? So why wouldn't an office just take this and adopt it like crazy and just take off? Like what's the roadblock there? Or are people doing it and we're just not up on how integrated you guys are yet?
So people are doing it. I mean, we're growing super rapidly. I mean, we're in roughly 8,000 locations currently, and growing at a clip of about 700 to 1,000 every month. So demand is very strong, but you're right. Super simple. Hey, patient, you don't have to pay $2,500 in your example today. We have payment plans. You might be able to pay $50, $75 a month. And oh, by the way, nearly everyone gets approved and it's going to take 30 seconds. And even if you don't qualify, there's no hard hit. So there's no harm, no foul. So we're trying to reduce the friction to a minimum and to help patients get the dental care they need. At the same time, hopefully grow the production of the practice. And we see this time after time.
Okay, so that $6,000 you were just approved for, does that get spread out over payments? Like, are the payments reasonable that I'm going to be able to afford, or is it pay back in 2 months or whatever? But how do you structure that?
Right. So we have multiple plans. Basically, each person gets. I just pull it up here. So if I just pull it up here, 1 second, you might be able to see it, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. It'll come up in a minute. But we have each person, and here it is. I don't know if you can see it, but each person gets between 3 to 6 offers, right? And the key thing, Gary, is we want to make it right for them. Like Burger King, have it your way. I don't want to decide what's best for you. You decide what's best for you. So you might want 48 months at $56 a month, or you may want to maybe pay it off more, 12 months with 0%, $157 a month. The key is you get to decide. We don't decide. Some people go for the lowest monthly payment, which is great, but we can stretch it out depending upon the person, depending upon the size of the treatment. It can go up to 72 months, as low as 6 months, up to 72 months.
So does this pretty much work for every kind of GP office? Is there other factors that you guys are looking at? You guys are in ortho and
we're GP, ortho, perio, oral.
What's your max loan? What's your max loan about that you guys can do right now?
20,000.
Okay, so not quite ready for like full arch yet. Like that wouldn't fit correct. You guys yet. Okay.
I mean, it depends. I mean, what a lot of the full arch folks do with us is they work with us. We can approve them for the full 20,000. That might be sufficient. Maybe it's not. But it's a soft inquiry, so they could go in theory to someone else. But you're correct. I mean, we go up to 20,000. Look, when I started 7 years ago, our max approval was 1,500. So it continues to go up and up and up as we learn, as the machine kind of learns and gets better and better. We get experience. We continue to kind of raise the approval rates, the approval amounts.
So why is it dental adopting this so slowly? Because I think this is probably one of the biggest things holding back the dental industry. I look at like the car industry. The reason that the car industry is still in existence at the level that it is because they figured this out. They basically sell cars by monthly payments now. And whether it's right or wrong, or you agree or disagree with that, that doesn't matter. The reason that the car industry has expanded, I'll use Tesla as an example. Tesla, I can buy a Tesla right now and never talk to a human and have it delivered to my door. The financing's in there, picking the cars in there, deliveries in there, the whole thing without even talking to a human. I can get a car at my front door. So why isn't dental adopting this yet? What is the missing thing that if I ran an office, like why wouldn't I be all over this? Like what is the missing piece?
So I'll give you the background and I'll give you the missing piece. The background is, patient financing for dental has been around since the early 90s, right? There's one company, won't mention their name. They've been around forever. The solution they have today is the same solution basically they had 30 years ago. And that solution approves a very small amount of people, right? It does not approve the full spectrum of folks. So a lot of offices, probably a huge chunk of offices, use that solution, right? And that's what they've used because that's what they've used because that's what they've used, right? Nothing has changed. When you start to get into complex math models and fintech, this has only kind of been around for, I'd say 8 to 10 years, right? And we got into dental 4 years ago, and we didn't see anyone doing anything with, creative underwriting or using machine learning and AI at all. And so I think it's kind of a bit of inertia, right? I mean, when we started, there was nothing, and people looked at us like we're crazy, right? Like, what is this? Don't get it. Oh, I use this. And they look at the iPad, they're like, wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, our close rate, Gary, is, and you're a marketing guy, so you can appreciate this. I mean, our close rate is like off the charts, but you have to meet the person. You have to talk with them. You have to show them the difference, because if you just talk with them on the phone, they'll say, oh, you're like this other company.
Yeah.
And
we already have financing set up. Yeah.
And we say, no, we're not. We can double your approvals. It's a much easier process. No hard credit check. They're like, oh, that's interesting. So It is growing like wildfire, but it still takes time. What took another company, 25 years to build, it's going to take us, 6, 7, 8 years to kind of, what we believe, to dominate the dental market. That's what we believe.
Yeah, so I would throw in there too, and I would love your opinion on this because you're the expert, but I'm going to take a stab at the dark in it. Number one, people, to your point, have a bad taste of financing already in the industry, right? Because if you've sat there for 20 years and told everybody no over and over again, I'm not going to offer it anymore. I'm just going to be like, you can pay cash or credit card, right? Because I don't want to be burning. I don't want to feel like I'm burning these people. So there's a little bit of a hesitancy to even jump into that ball game. That's number one. Number two, there's no sales cycle in dental. So if you pay attention to dental and how they set up everything and all the consultants, everybody, even us, we go from marketing to operations, right? And then you operations to clinical. That's kind of how everybody thinks of the dental industry. There's a missing component in there, and it's called sales. But nobody uses the word sales in dental because dentists hate the word sales. It's a cuss word. And so when you remove the word sales, though, it removes things from a business model. One of them is financing, right? Like financing is part of the sales process. And then it gets trickled back into the marketing side. So because you have this sour taste and because there's no sales in dental, it makes financing much harder to implement from a mass adoption standpoint. That would be my stab at it. What do you think about that?
No, I think you're right on. I think the bad taste is a huge thing because we have to change hearts and minds, right? We have to say, no, this really works. Like, I know you have 35% approval and you stopped approving someone 3 years ago, but I can get nearly everyone approved and I can do it in a 30-second process that's frictionless. Oh, yeah, okay. We've had this experience before. So we have a fairly extensive training. Once we sign a group or an individual office, a group or a large DSO, we have extensive training. And part of that training, Gary, is changing hearts and minds. You have got to get them comfortable and confident that if they present the iPad to a patient, nearly everyone is going to get approved. And if they don't, you're not going to move forward the relationship. So we kind of depend on that. But I think you're totally correct on this assertion. And you're right. No one likes talking about sales in the office. I like to say, finance in the dental office is kind of like the other F word. No one really likes discussing it. Because again, at the end of the day, they're there to treat patients, right? But we can help you treat more patients. But the link, as you say perfectly, is not there and it needs to get better. And I think over time it is, particularly in the environment that we're in right now, which is high inflation, who knows, potential recession or not, depending on who you talk to. At the end of the day, it's more costly to visit the dentist and people have less money in their pocket. So more people need financing. It's just the true facts. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. So last question for you. So we're sitting here in this room here and basically our audience is like a group or a DSO, 5-10 locations. That's kind of who listens to this show. So they have some financial options. Nothing's really taken off at their office. What would you challenge them, or what would you say to them about Sunbit as they begin to think about this now that they've listened to you through this show?
So I would say the first question, which I know is going to be a no for them, which is, are you happy with your current patient financing solution? The answer is no. Once you kind of get that off their chest, then the question is, well, how many patients could you help? How much case acceptance could go up if you had a solution that can be offered and approved by 85 to 90%? I mean, that's the bottom line. If 9 out of 10 people that walk in your door could get the treatment they need, would that impact your business, right? Would that help more patients get the care they need? And I think those are the only questions you need to ask, because for us, generally what we see, the answer is yes. We've got 800 DSOs in terms of anywhere from 2 locations up to 800, and these are the questions that we ask them, right? And we see the results. We see the incremental production. We see more patients get the dentistry they need, and that's gratifying for us.
That's so awesome. Well, it's been really good to have you on. If someone wants to learn more about what you guys are doing, how can they reach out to you?
You can go to sunbit.com /dental. You can reach me via email at jay@sunbit.com, and happy to talk with anyone. Again, we work with both single point locations, multi-unit, as well as large DSOs.
Awesome. Well, great job. That was really fun today, and I learned a lot about what you guys are doing. Great job over there at Sunbit.
Great. Thank you very much, Gary, for having us. Thank you.